again back to Forex Trading Asia, looking at the economic calendar. What you should notice is that we are on Friday and there is no Canadian news at all, right? We just had some Japanese, we've got some European news and pound news to be released, and then the US numbers and some members speaking as well. Following on from that, what you should also pay attention to is that next week, from Monday to Friday, if I just do a quick scroll through, what you should also notice is that you don't see the Canadian flag. There is almost, or there's entirely no Canadian news to be released next week, apart from these, which are not big price movers. This is not big price movers, so I'm happy to ignore that. And then on Thursday, still nothing. All the way to Friday, we've got a lot of news, but nothing for CAD apart from the on Friday next week with GDP month on month. And that one, I can give you the update next Friday when we do the currency call again. So this actually is a good setup. It can be quite a good setup in terms of how to trade the CAD. That means all you have to focus on right now for if you're trading the US CAD is the dollar. It's the strength or the weakness in the dollar. And what we've seen here on the charts for the US CAD for this week is that it's set at this 1.2747 level before finally breaking downwards and testing that 1.2613. So at this point, based on the price action, based on the way it's behaving, I anticipate that we could see that dollar strength come around. We've seen, as Scott was sharing with you, a bit of a base, a bit of a support level found on the dollar index. The dollar index here, we've seen it come down to about that point of 92, 93. So we might see a base form there, and then that might actually push the dollar strength back into play. We might see the US CAD bounce back off this 1.2613 support level, same as what it did last week, same as what it did the week before. Quite a strong level 3 weeks ago, and then 4 weeks also at that point. So at this level, I think that we can actually see possible upside to the US CAD. What you're looking for might be a little bit like that. What you're looking for is that buying opportunity above 1.2673, about a 30 pip stop loss for a good 60 pip, 70 pip take profit level. You're still looking at a 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the upside. And that's only the first part of the trade. What you could also be looking for is that potential for it to break through that 1.2747 resistance and hit higher, or to bounce off this point. But I think that we're more likely to see it break through from that resistance. The first move is towards resistance and then following through from that. I'm going to break away from my usual. We look at the US CAD on H4 time frame, but I was just doing some analysis for a property investor on this for the longer time frame kind of view. If you looked at the US CAD on the daily time frame, what you notice is that 1.2613, if it does bounce off, it's also a relatively good inverted head and shoulder. So it's tested one time, head, and then it's tested again. So if it does bounce off from this point, we could see quite good upside, right? Or if it doesn't bounce off too significantly from here, I anticipate that it could probably come down in the medium term, could come down to that 1.2456 level. So you can see a bit of a shoulder, good head level there, and then the shoulder again. If it does come down and bounce off this point, then we could see that upside. So based on this, I think that even if we do see it go up a little bit, I think the medium to slightly longer term will be for it to come down, test that 1.2456 before possibly bouncing significantly towards the upside. So that's the US CAD on several time frames. we are looking possibly at some volatility to be applied. But in the longer term, I do think that we could see the USCAD move quite significantly higher. With that, I'll also take the chance to do a bit of a recap of what we've been talking about through the week. The Aussie dollar didn't break, right? We were talking about it. The analysis was if it did break below that 7233 level, we could see it come lower. It has held. That support level has held. Hence, we saw that bounce off. So that's okay. We didn't get into that trade. The Kiwi dollar hasn't broken significantly downwards, testing that 7073 level again. So we're looking to see possibly next week we could see some movements there. Euro dollar hasn't broken lower. We saw that FOMC decision there, statements and decision there, but then we've seen some expected recovery from the Evergrande scenario or crisis or situation. That's why we saw that bounce back up. I think that resistance level is going to be quite crucial. Good thing is that we had a good trade set up on the Euro Pound H4, or saying that we would test, possibly break above that 8590 before reversing all the way back down. It's done exactly that. Broke above 8590, went all the way towards that support level here of 8538. Why this moved is really because of how the pound dollar was moving. We were saying that it was going to come down, test around that 1.3588 level. It's done that exactly before bouncing up, breaking through that resistance and towards the 1.3747 resistance level. So a lot of these trades are driven by news. A lot of these trades are testing a support or a resistance level before bouncing quite significantly and being driven by the news. The US yen, I didn't do the analysis yesterday, but last week we said it was going to come up and test. Did that. I'm super happy with the Euro yen where it's tested that 1.128 level and bounced quite significantly upwards. What you should pay attention to is the pound yen. Last week when I spoke about it, I was saying that it would bounce up and test that 151.38 level before tracking down towards 149.39. Did it that exactly. And this is where your support and resistance levels are crucial, because this is where it bounced off back up towards that 151.38 level. At this point, I think that we might see it sit across a bit before possibly tracking back down again. So with all that said, quite a lot of opportunities. You saw the news, the whole list of news that could be released next week as well. So make sure you turn back in, get all the updates, get the analysis with every currency call for next week. With that, I'll pass it back to you, Scott.